Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Croneo region, my Fakemon region based on Scotland. In my previous video, introducing this very sequel mini-series of Pokemon Orpiment, I mentioned that there were 3 storylines that can be completed like in Scarlet and Violet. This is the first one, Big Beasties, named as such because that's what we Scots would call a giant beast. This is inspired by the fact that Pokemon seems to be enjoying bigger than usual Pokemon as boss fights. Now, the title may remind you that when I reached 10,000 subscribers, I announced a contest for people to submit their Fakemon ideas to be part of the Croneo region. I was hoping to pick 5 winners, but because there were so many good submissions, I had to pick a few more. Some winners did submit more entries than have won, since I specified up to 3 designs, with the occasional 4th as an exception. But I picked what I felt best fit in the region. Most of these winning entries will act as Titans. One won't because it didn't feel quite right, but it was so good it had to win. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Time for the story before I go through the winners. After the events of Pokemon Agate and Pokemon Obsidian, since Professor Barkley was deposed, the position for the region's professor was vacant. Luckily, the Rock-type gym leader, Jasper, is a Pokemon paleontologist, who also wanted to broaden their knowledge of Pokemon, so took this as a perfect career opportunity. They've been interested in the Big Beastie phenomenon. Every once in a while, in the Croneo region, certain Pokemon develop an abnormally large size, like Totems, Nobles, and Titans. Lately, an unusual amount have cropped up. Jasper intends to get to the bottom of this with your help, since they don't know why they could possibly appear in this number. They join you in the field like Arvin did in Paldea. Now, before I get on to the winners, why don't you drop a subscribe and ring the notification bell to never miss an upload. I'm hoping to get 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so let's make that happen. Liking also helps get this video out to more people, as well as sharing, and also leaving a comment, hopefully congratulating these amazing winners. Also, make sure to check my links in the description for my Instagram for more information about my Fakemon, my Discord server to speak with fans such as yourself, or to support me on Patreon or by becoming a YouTube member. You get sneak peeks as to the content I'm going to make in the future. Now that I've got that out of the way, let's finally discuss the winners. Now, this first one won't be a Titan, but will be on the new Steel-type gym leader's team, as their ace, as a matter of fact. Meet Rotom's Saw form, submitted by Juno, aka LonerEevee, who actually helped make the thumbnail to this video as well. Their social media links, as well as for all of the other winners if applicable, are in the description. All of the Croneo Rotom forms that I made were based on items made in Scotland or developed in some way related to Scotland. The first prototype of the Chainsaw was developed by John Aitken and James Jeffrey, both of whom were Scottish doctors. As a result, a Chainsaw Mon made sense, and why not base it on Chainsaw Man? As in the anime, specifically referencing Pachita. Juno submitted this alongside another Chainsaw Man reference in the form of a Charcadet evolution. While I loved both, I could only pick one, and I could picture a dog Rotom along with my other animal-coded Rotom forms, more than the Charcadet Evo, but it was incredibly close. If you can't tell, it's electric steel, because all Rotoms are electric type and Chainsaws are made of metal. Time for the other take on an existing Mon that won, Cronian Tatsugiri, a water fairy type. Submitted by PewterCityJim on YouTube. It is based on a smoked fish pie, which isn't specifically Scottish, but based on the traditionally Scottish version. To somewhat paraphrase Jim's submission, because he put it across so well, this pie is usually made of salted smoked haddock poached in milk, from which a savoury sauce is made using butter, flour, and herbs. It also generally includes peas and boiled egg, elements of which were included in the design, along with the full pastry shell. Since haddock have 3 dorsal fins, so does this Tatsugiri. Since haddock are prey to seals, Cronian Tatsugiri has a new ability, Tasty Evasion. When Sealapup, Herdiel, or Stoutsie are on the field, either as an ally or as a foe, Tatsugiri's evasion increases by 4 stages. This only activates once per battle, but it does bypass Keen Eye. It can be lowered by evasion reducing moves such as Sweet Scent. Moves that can't miss, such as Swift, are also unaffected. It still has Commander, but it doesn't pair up with Dondozo, but the next Pokemon I will discuss. You'll be able to see this in action in the boss fight, fighting them as Beasts of the Fireland Sea, where you fight them in the Firelands. The other of the 2 Beasts of the Fireland Sea is Abyssul, Dark Fire type, submitted by Crimson Arts on Instagram. It is based on the Crassigyrinus, an extinct genus of carnivorous stem tetrapod from the early Carboniferous limestone coal group of Scotland. It is also based on the myth of the Marul, a malevolent demon who lives in water, according to Shetland mythology. This made up part of its name, which also comes from Abyss. Originally it was submitted as a ghost water type called Abyssal, but due to its malevolence and its fiery crest, chest, it made sense to make it a dark fire type instead. For those thinking about Chi-Yu, the treasures of ruin aren't actually the animal that inspired their shape. They are elements brought to life in those forms. Abyssal is some grand predator and would love to munch on Cronian Tatsugiri, but due to each of Abyssal's types being weak to Tatsugiri's, yes, I know fire resists fairy, so it's neutral, but shh, it gets overpowered by Tatsugiri. The fact that their battle is in the Farlands references the fact that I mainly based the Farlands on the Shetland Isles, where the Marul myth originated. The next winner is Discord user LavenderTea, who submitted Timrachnid and Spidero, both bug fighting. The names came from Timid and Arachnid and Spider and Hero. They are based on the story of Robert the Bruce and the Spider. Robert the Bruce was the King of Scotland from 1306 until his death in 1329. During this time, he led Scotland in the First War of Independence. The story goes that in the winter of 1306, Robert the Bruce was unsure of himself, as well as if he'd be a good strong king. He then saw a spider in a cave, trying to spin its web despite falling so many times, but every time it fell, it climbed back up. That's why Timrachnid is very timid and unsure of itself, but when it learns Sacred Sword, it gains the confidence to lead the bugs of Croneo as Spidero. The colour scheme is based on flag imagery Robert was depicted as wearing, and the final render even has fleur-de-lis imagery, to sell its royal origin. Spidero is the beast of the Northland Cave, fought in the cave found in the Northlands, to reference the story this line is based on. Next up, meet Drakiddy and Drakindle, Dragon and Dragonfire respectively, submitted by SewerMonster2008 on YouTube. The names come from Drake, meaning dragon, Kiddy, because Drakiddy is a child, and Kindle, which is what fire does. They are based on the Beast of the Charred Forests, a myth of a fire-breathing monster which was the explanation behind the burning down of dense forests caused by Vikings. It is said that when St. Gilbert had slain it, a stone was placed where it was buried, which explains the evolution method. It also kind of looks like a boar, but so did the original myth. This is translated super well since its physical description perfectly fits the Pokémon, and having roots in Scotland fits Croneo. I'm also all for cute dragon types. Drakindle is the beast of the fluorescent forests, to allude to the beast of the charred forests. Time for the first of two 3-stage lines, starting with Cubos, Blockos, and Volcos, a rock fairy line submitted by Escondia17 on my Discord server. After consideration and deliberation, we decided to name them with the suffix os, which is common for sugars. They also come from cube, blockade, and volcano. It is based on a kind of candy called Edinburgh Rock, not to be confused with rock candy, since this one crumbles. It's also known as Edinburgh Castle Rock, hence the castle motif. Escondia also stated it was based on Mons Meg, the canon at Edinburgh Castle. Although it was incorporated into the final stage, I felt like it needed to also appear in the wall-like middle stage for a variety of reasons. The final stage is based on a volcano and Edinburgh Castle itself, since it's built on a volcano, except this Pokemon is an active one, not an extinct one. It doesn't gain the fire type here because its typing still makes sense, but it can have flame body for its ability. Volcos is the beast of Gosford Rock, which is fought in Gosfordshire. The other 3-stage line comprises Barum, Rumpum, and Barumpum-Pum, submitted by ArtsySplat1 on Instagram. Originally submitted as Ghost Fairy, but we both agreed that Mono Ghost worked just fine. The idea comes from the headless drummer boy that is said to haunt Edinburgh Castle. Artsy had the inspired idea to have the head be the drum and not attach to the neck, as you can see in their original submission. They also went for a feminine approach, as they like that kind of Pokemon design, and I think more are welcome in Croneo. This line also has an appearance similar to that of a pipe band, who also have many drummers in their ranks. Its name is just onomatopoeia, for the sounds drums make, which makes sense given mysterious ghostly drums are heard at Edinburgh Castle. Although the first 2 stages were always going to have names like that, Artsy and I agreed that the 3rd stage should too. Funnily enough, the final names were suggested by Juno, because they appeared in a dream they had. True story. Since the Barum line is a sound-based mon, it has sound-based moves and abilities. Barumpum-Pum is the beast of Westwake Ruins, since it made sense to me that a castle ruins area would have a mon based on a ghost that haunts a castle as its boss. Finally, let's have a gimmick mon by Eelium, who has a Tumblr of the same name, and is Eelium Paninium on Twitter. They also previously helped out with dex entries and town names for Croneo. Their entry is Hyde Hollow, based on the 1886 Gothic novella Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, written by Scottish author Robert Louis Stevenson. If you didn't already know, it's about a man called Dr. Jekyll and his evil alter ego of Mr. Hyde. This dual nature is referenced within its ability, Broken Facade, where when its health reaches below 50%, or when the opponent is asleep, the rock Rock Psychic sealed form transforms into the Rock Dark revealed form. It reverts once the conditions for the revealed form to exist no longer occur. The duality, fear, and statue appearance also reference the Weeping Angels from Doctor Who. Said monsters were created by Scottish writer Stephen Moffat. They take the appearance of a statue until you look away, which is when it moves at lightning speed, and sends you back in time to feed on the potential life you have just lost. Its name comes from Jekyll, Hyde, Hollow, and Da, which is Gaelic for two, all of which reference aspects of its design. It is the beast of luring islands, since the dual nature made sense for a pair of islands. Plus, Hyde is a murderer, so luring is a befitting adjective. It also means there is no section of Croneo without a big beastie. Perfect for exploration. After you battle them, Jasper collects more and more data, and gives you facts about these beasts. You also get drip-fed information by Jasper about what's causing it. After all 6 are battled, they conclude that some fluctuations in the fabric of our dimension is causing this to happen. These fluctuations are perfectly harmless and natural, but the frequency of it now is concerning. At some point in your journey, you piece together that it is to do with Team Syndicate, but more on that in another video. Croneo is fully open world, so almost everywhere is accessible. However, battling each of these makes the terrain easier to traverse, due to upgrades to your Rotom bike that Jasper gives you. Oh, and before I go, Juno is mental. They drew a bunch of memes based on the winners. Since they're a mod on my server, they saw all of these early and wanted to have fun. Here are said memes. That's it for this video. Special thanks to all of the winners. You all did an amazing job, as well as the artists I commissioned to tackle the final renders. And with that, I'll see you next time!